Hi, it's Crow on Sunday, April 26, 2020. I've been concerned about the mental well-being of people I've been in contact with lately. I guess folks stuck together 24/7 are seeing things in each other with glaring clarity. It's been on my mind as I watch the illogical and irrational videos and memes being sent around person to person on social media. Most of these appear to be created in the propaganda machines of known far-right companies. These organizations make their videos look like news and exclusive interviews that only they can offer you, but all have a similar version of reality they want you to buy. All of them have a long history of perpetuating fake news. The same organizations have been hired to sway voters in many countries lately. This is nothing new. The ability to manage the collective mind of any society has been important in creating a workable world. We know that if all can be gathered within a collective belief, whether it's in a religion, an ideology like capitalism, socialism, anarchy, or communism, whether it is ethnicity, tribalism, patriarchy, matriarchy, country, or state, that reality can be achieved only when enough people agree to participate. Wherever one empire has come in and colonized another group of people, the working blueprint has been to assimilate everyone into this new way of behaving and thinking, creating a conformity that allows the new reality to unfold according to the plan of those who are orchestrating it. Just think about how a group of Europeans came over to South, North, and Central America, Australia, New Zealand, and much of Africa, and were able to impose their reality and organized belief systems upon millions of people. Just think about how quickly, really in a couple of centuries, they were able to transform these places to mimic what they left behind in Europe. Think about how easy it was for the Third Reich to impose their beliefs upon so many countries less than 100 years ago. More recently, we've been shown through WikiLeaks, the whistleblowers from Cambridge Analytica, and others, just how devious these energetic patterns still are. When people are in fear, it's very easy to want answers, to want a feeling of being in control. We're conditioned to look for a human to represent our all-powerful Father God beliefs, to blindly and obediently follow this perceived leader according to our imprinted ideology. When people are scared, it's very easy to rally them to do the unthinkable. Rwanda, Nazi Germany, the Vietnam War, Serbia, the Ukraine, the Philippines, the brutal slavery in the United States, among other countries, and all the countries who've been invaded and colonized over the last 500 years show us how easy it is. This was not carried out by a couple of people. Thousands were persuaded to believe enough to overcome their basic humanity and massacre and enslave fellow human beings on the basis of what they'd been told and what they chose to believe. We know from the work of many hypnotherapists that 30% of us can easily be swayed to believe anything. We will quack like ducks if they tell us to. That's all it takes to change society. And the same techniques are used by every marketing agency on the planet. I see these techniques in a lot of the stories that are going around, and I have been concerned. Even though they are easily debunked, many of those held in their black hole persuasion seem unable to break free. I don't know if this is spreading in other areas of the world, but I most definitely see it in North America. There is a heartlessness, a coldness I recognize as I witness people talking about how only the weak are dying, that this is a culling, a survival of the fittest. I've heard people say this virus is going to get rid of the old people who are only a drain on the future anyway. I've heard medical people say forget all the restraints and lockdowns, just let the virus go through, and if some people are sacrificed now, it's for the greater good of herd immunity. I've heard so-called enlightened and woke, blonde, blue-eyed yoga teachers telling everyone it's a hoax, that all the sickness is really caused by the new G5, and that we've been conditioned to accept tyranny from the decades of chemtrails that have been sprayed through the air to inhibit our ability to think. I've heard poor and marginalized people call it a white man's disease, with a hopeful glee of maybe they'll all die and we'll get our planet back. Running under every one of these ridiculous and heartless theories presented is the proof, churned out from all the fake news centers. Following all of these theories, people post them on their websites, Twitter feeds, and Facebook pages with real people as well as the fabricated bots of the industry agreeing and cheering them on throughout the screens of social media. I'm watching people I thought I knew falling like flies down this devious rabbit hole of irrational and dangerous behavior. This morning, as I sat in my morning contemplation, I decided to do a tarot spread to help me have a better grasp of what's going on with the collective psyche that I'm seeing around me. I was actually relieved. Let me show you what was revealed. I work with the Mother Peace deck created by Vicki Noble and artist Karen Vogel. It's my favorite deck. These cards are round instead of the much more common rectangular cards. The reason I like round cards is because it shows us the nuances of life on this round planet. I've always had an aversion to the enforcement of squares and triangles on a circular world. Most of our ancestors lived in circular homes, now almost completely replaced by square boxes. We've also been conditioned to believe in sides, Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative, believers and heathens, light side, dark side. Things are not binary on the earth, despite what our Abrahamic teachings have led us to believe. Abraham was the developer of the religions from the Middle East, Judaism, Islamic, and Christian belief systems. They are all based on a male father figure of absolute power who judges and condemns based upon an intricate series of laws that change with every offshoot these religions developed. The basis is the good father, whom one must obey for fear of punishment, and the bad father, who will try to entice you into rebellion. God and Lucifer, good and evil, right and wrong, ever in battle for your soul. This belief system has become fairly dominant on earth and has become the means through which most people make sense of reality around them, even when practicing other ways. So infiltrated have they become in the human psyche. Round cards take us away from the dualistic thinking, allowing us to look at all of the nuances of how energy works. The spread I'm using is a spiral spread developed by the author of the Mother Peace cards, Vicki Noble. Let's begin with the three middle cards, Significator, Atmosphere, and Obstacle, placed in a triangle in the center here. The center card, the Significator, talks about where we're at right now, and here we have the Shaman of Discs reversed. In the image, a person is riding a mule, representing a deep connection with intuition and the earth. Mules always know when there's trouble ahead or danger around. Their instincts are renowned. The shaman is riding the mule along a cliff edge on a journey, holding a shield with the image of a monkey connecting to its own tail, completing the circle. Our species, Homo sapiens, come out of the same lineage as the tree monkeys. The completion of the circle and the completion of our path, steady and strong, trusting our intuition, is some of what Shaman of Discs represents. The eagle is watching, signifying a connection with a wider, broader vision, a connection with spirit, a high flyer. The sun is setting, signifying the journey is nearing completion for now. In this case, though, the shaman is reversed. We don't trust our instincts. We've lost our sense of self. We've forgotten our path and are not in touch with intuition, spirit, or our humanity. I don't think this is anything new. I think the human psyche has been disconnected in many ways, in many of our lineages for generations. A clear-eyed view of what humanity has been doing to all other species on the planet, including ourselves, shows us we are not in any way in balance. The atrocities and horrors we commit are beyond anything that's good. This is nothing new. Many of our ancestors have been on this path of destruction for thousands of years. Shaman of Discs is lost, afraid, and not prepared for the journey at hand. To the left, below, we find the position of atmosphere. This means the energy that's around all of us right now. Here we have a major arcana card which tells us this is much stronger than us, individually or collectively. Major arcanas represent the forces bigger than us, the forces of the universe. You could think of them as destiny cards, or powers like gravity, influences that affect and change our trajectory, no matter what our personal plans are. The moon card in this position represents our connection with our collective unconsciousness, that ineffable place of dreams, of our psychic, intuitive knowing, of our connection to the deep mystery. When she's upright, her light guides us and shows us what's going on in the dark, illuminating all we need to understand. When she's tilted to the far left as she is here, it means it's not getting through. We're afraid of what we might see in our own unconscious mind. We're afraid to be alone with our thoughts. We're afraid of what that light may illuminate about ourselves, so we distract ourselves, turn away, ignoring the messages and insights surfacing from deep within. It's difficult to know your way forward in the dark when the moon is not shining. To the right of the moon card, we have the position of obstacle, what's troubling us, causing us to stumble. Here we find the 8 of Swords. 8 represents a change, a shift, a new direction. Here, a person is facing a brick wall, sword of reason poised forward with focus and intention. We are so busy arguing with our words, trying to get our point across, trying to get through what looks and feels like a brick wall, we don't even notice the 4 crumpled swords already ruined, the time and energy wasted. I know this feeling well. This card is often in my obstacle position. You see 2 ravens balanced on top of the brick wall laughing at the person. The ravens know the wall is illusionary, and logic, words, and rationality have no power to dissipate it. This cannot be shifted by education, logic, or knowledge. It is an obstacle on a different realm than the mind. The sheer frustration and obsessive behavior of still trying to get through, depicted here, says it all. We all have been in those arguments. Feel it. Words cannot describe it. This card does signify that we are realizing the futility of trying to change someone's trajectory with words. Stop and walk away. It's an illusion. The next 4 cards we're going to look at represent the unconscious present, recent past, conscious present, and potential future. Bottom center is the position of what's unconscious, rising up within the collective and individual psyche. When it's a major arcana like it is here, it tells us that the force rising up within us is a power far bigger than any of our individual awarenesses. We have the Temperance card here, which is about the mastery of the energies we bring through ourselves. Balance is not static. It is dynamic, depicted by the sacred hula dancer balancing the fire and water that they may coexist. This dynamic tension speaks of the same skill sets as surfing. Riding a wave on a surfboard is about the little subtle movements one instinctively makes to keep on top of the wave. It takes experience and knowledge of the wave forces, and the skill to manage the ride. Temperance is about balancing the fire and water within ourselves, about balancing the mental, emotional, physical, societal, and spiritual natures that flow through us. Tilted to the far left as it is here, it says we have not learned this yet, but we are working on it. It is a lesson on its way in for humanity, but we have not yet learned to achieve this balance. Like an inexperienced surfer, we have yet to be able to stand up on the board, but we're working on it, practicing, and that is hopeful. Center left is the position of recent past, and here we have another major arcana card, number 20, Judgment, which placed in the recent past says we've just gone through a very powerful global event and are feeling the after effects. Tarot works in cycles of 10s, and this is the second completion card in the arcana system. We are coming to a place where we have completed a cycle, and we are being shown how we did. Like after years of study, our final exams, final papers are showing us how we handled that. Where we excelled, where we didn't grasp what we were meant to learn are all up for our reflection. The Judgment card in recent past depicts universal forces of cause and effect based upon what we've created so far and how that has affected the balance of life. The way we've treated the planet and each other was revealed clearly, yet this card tilted to the left means we are reluctant to see or acknowledge this fact. We are choosing to remain a little unconscious for the most part of what's happening to the planet and humanity on a global level. This completion card, number 20, in our recent past, says we've just come out of that. Moving up to the top, we have Major Arcana card number 21, the final card of the Major Arcana, the World. It holds the position of sky, or what we are consciously aware of right now, even though tilted slightly to the left means we don't fully understand its implications. This cycle of human experience on Earth has completed. We are finished with this reality. It has come to its end, All has actually been revealed. The slight tilt to the left shows us we haven't quite seen that or understood that yet, but we know it. This is a powerful card in this position. Notice how the major arcana seem to frame the inner struggles of the minor arcana and the people cards here, as if those hidden forces are pulling us along. To the far right, we have the Eight of Cups, reversed, in the position of near future, and this is where we're headed. This is a minor arcana card that speaks about how we individually react to the greater force that guides us, the major arcana cards. We have more influence over the minor cards, and there's a possibility of shifting this before time takes us there. Eight of Cups speaks about going deep within ourselves and dealing with the issues that we've been carrying. It's about moving into our deep feelings, our unconscious patterns that we may be carrying from past lives, from ancestors, and or from childhood or societal imprints. Reversed like it is here means we are swamped by how much emotional baggage we all carry and are unable to process or move under the weight of all of this. The influence positions of how we see and understand ourselves, what we're drawing in, and our household or societal influence are the next three cards. I find the juxtaposition of the only three people cards in this reading to be very interesting. Two of the cards in these positions are people cards, and people cards represent the personalities, the earth expressions of the soul. In the tarot, human personality types are depicted in 4 suits, divided by binary gender. In traditional tarot, there is also the Jack. In some decks, you have it as a knight, depicting the young male, and a page depicting the even younger male. In the mother piece, we have priestess, shaman, daughters, and sons. There is a strong correlation between the people cards in this reading and the positions they are in. First, I want to draw your attention back to the significator, which is the shaman of discs, representing the masculine movement forward in the world. And since most of us live in a patriarchal culture, this would make sense. Masculine represents action, movement, direction, and firm control, but he's lost. All of the old Celtic stories and their predecessors, the Shakti and Shiva stories of India, tell the tale of what happens when masculine and feminine are not in balance. Buddhists have the yin-yang symbol, and the stories of White Buffalo Calf Woman and Corn Maiden of North America, and really, every mythology of non-Abrahamic-based belief systems carry these cautionary tales of what happens when we're not in balance. In this spread, we see the masculine Father Earth figure reversed, flanked by 2 daughters equally reversed. Both daughter cards are tilted towards the center card, like moons held in orbit around the center planet. To the left of the shaman of discs, we see the daughter of discs, standing in her circle on a vision quest as a seeker. She is in the position of how it feels or seems to us, and how we are experiencing the shaman of discs reversed. Daughter of discs is, of course, the younger feminine expression of shaman of discs. She is also reversed, although tilted more to the right, more conscious and aggressive, whereas the shaman is tilted to the left, unconscious and passive. Both still speak about having lost one's way, off track, confused, and not recognizing our connection to our own spirit and the earth itself. We know that we're lost, disconnected. Yet it looks like she's still searching and reaching to the father figure to answer her call, not realizing he's as lost as she is. To the right of the shaman of discs, we have the position of what we're drawing in, and here we have another people card, the Daughter of Wands. Daughter of Wands, in the position of what we're bringing in, is also reversed, slightly to the left, just as the shaman of discs is. When she is upright, she represents that exuberant joy, forward moving, an absolute trust of the earth and her body, trust of her spirit. Reversed, she's afraid and stuck. She's afraid to speak up. She's afraid of being ridiculed. She's afraid of any movement or using her voice. Her light, her fire has been subdued, and she's paralyzed. She's lost her faith in her own body knowing, in her own spirit. Reversed, she represents the covering up, the hiding, the pulling back of the exuberant, fiery, passionate, feminine energy depicted in this beautiful drawing. She lives, like many women in repressive patriarchal systems, behind the scenes, not daring to speak her mind or show her passion for fear of judgment and punishment. These cards represent how the human personalities or social expectations are playing out in the midst of the great forces of the 5 major arcana cards that play in this reading. Eve has ever been blamed for the forces of evil in the Abrahamic belief systems. After all, she sought wisdom and knowledge, and Abraham's God, wishing to keep humans ignorant and obedient, has sought revenge upon her ever since. Daughter of Wands reversed depicts this tame, domesticated feminine. In the far right bottom corner, we have the position of household. In a collective reading like this, the position represents the support, or lack of, within our collective energy, our household. It's about how we're getting along and dealing with each other and life. We have the Two of Wands here. Twos represent a reaction to the ace, or the new movement forward, and this card represents going within, connecting with our ancestors, trying to listen to our intuition. It means, in our personal spaces, many of us are managing to find these connections, even though it is a little tilted, a bit towards the unconscious. What we are doing privately and within ourselves is an attempt to reconnect. Bearing in mind that the Temperance, Moon, Judgment, and World cards are at play right now, and those big forces support our attempts to tap in and rebalance ourselves, even if they are blocked out by our fear and our imprints. They are still available by going within and connecting, as the woman in this image is achieving. There are 3 cards on the far bottom right, and this is the position of outcome. If a major arcana card comes up right away, it means this is the destiny path. This is where you're headed. It's already been set into motion. If a major arcana card doesn't come up right away, it means there's a process to get there, and you lay out 2 more cards. If still no major arcana card shows up, it means the outcome has not been determined, and there are too many factors at play. It's anyone's guess. In this story, the 3rd card pulled is a major arcana, Crone, the 9th card, just before completion. But let's start with 2 cards leading to it. The first card is the 5 of Discs, tilted to the right. In this image, we see a woman kneading dough. I love the artist's playful depiction of kneading dough. Kneading dough, get it? Kneading money? The 5 of Discs represents a tension we have in our bodies when we are afraid for our sustenance or ability to feed ourselves or have our needs met on a physical level. Tilted to the right, it means we are just beginning to realize we must do something about managing our anxiety and learn to work towards creating physical sustainability. This, then, is the aftermath of the economic consumerist shutdown those of us not in the 1% of capitalism are experiencing. The next card, the 7 of Cups, represents going into the fantasy, the dreamy, illusionary realm, where we look at all of the incredible options available to us and fantasize about a new way to be. As Red has pointed out in the last couple of our readings, our dreams are really important, but this card shows, especially tilted to the left, the unconscious behavior. Some of these dreams are quite ungrounded and not based on earth reality. Notice the lack of feet, all cups open to be filled. Choosing an illusionary reality to focus on is like going into denial. Now, illusion and denial has its place in keeping us out of the black holes of fear, but at some point, we need to come out of that illusionary blissful state and get to work on building the kind of world we want to live in. The final card, the 9th major arcana, Crone, speaks about coming into our wisdom. It's about making the choice to trust the deep wisdom that time and experience has taught us. It speaks about the accumulated wisdom of our ancestors, which include all Homo sapiens. It speaks about standing in our own individual truth, what we've learned, not what we've been taught, not what we've read, but what we actually have experienced in the deepest points of our being. Once someone has reached the 9th card at the place of crone or hermit, they cannot be swayed by the hyperbole, fads, and deceptions that pulse through the social mainstream awareness. It is still a journey for us to get there, and with the temperance not fully upright, we still have the ups and downs of these big waves to learn to manage. We may not be experienced surfers as of yet, but we will do our best. We may have forgotten the mastery required to ground and center ourselves, to hold that balance, but life is forcing us to learn that right now. Crone, that state of knowing, that place of wisdom, is right there ahead of us on this journey. It is the safe shore we are seeking. This journey is as personal as it is collective, and it's not an easy one. but from the looks of the major arcana cards here, the gravitational pull of these much bigger universal forces are the undercurrent of the slipstream whose waves we are riding. Whether we trust ourselves, Earth, and the universe or not, will determine whether we ride it upright on our surfboards, learning the grace of staying standing, or clinging fearfully to our surfboards. Our personal will and integrity will determine whether we are knocked off our boards, sent floundering and bashing about as we tumble through the waves. We will all wash up on the same shores, however we handle the journey. Keep strong, keep grounded, and learn to balance the waves. Thanks to the private members website, www.onbeinghuman.ca, for letting us share this recording publicly. If you are interested in more of what we have to offer, channelings from the Council of Elders, more tarot readings by myself, Crow Fisher, or any of the health and wellness from Wendell and Murdoch, or any of the other contributions from our members, you can join up. www.onbeinghuman.ca. Come and learn about being a better human.